Ringer. I'm your host, Tate Frazier, and we are back in studio today. We got a fun show. We got Nora joining us later from New York, but first and foremost, we got Cousin Sal in the building.
This is so much easier that we're sitting close to each other. I don't have to stretch. I pulled like an oblique the other day doing this.
They did this for us to make sure that we could get the whole thing set up easier.
They really do, and you're wearing your UNC cardigan. Very exciting times ahead for you.
Well, the reason I'm wearing this cardigan is for good luck, because last week on this show, Sal, they called me a madman.
Yeah.
I said, Bill Belichick, you have to make him say no to the North Carolina football job. A week later, he's still trying to say no, but it looks like there's a chance he could say yes. Bill Belichick might be the future head coach of North Carolina.
Well,
can you believe it?
First of all, it wasn't just last week when we called you a madman. Every single week.
That's right.
I mean, it's been years now. But I don't. You brokered the deal. I feel like you brokered the deal by mentioning it here and making a couple calls, 3 Zooms later,
couple text messages, right?
Yeah, and he's really into it, and I think he could maybe do this. And it's not like he can get to the keg parties. His girlfriend will help him do that, and the recruits and everything else. But I think this is great. I was under the impression he wanted to set the record for wins in the NFL, but apparently he wants to set the record for losses in college football. So good for him. That'll be good. Yeah.
He wants to go and try a different thing. You know what I mean? I mentioned Barry Switzer and Jimmy Johnson has done this before.
And you got to throw it back at me.
I mean, these are good guys that have done this, and Pete Carroll. So maybe he can be on that Mount Rushmore. And in case you missed it, that was the first Tate right there. Bill Belichick is going to be the future head coach in North Carolina.
No one missed it. Everyone's in there.
Everyone knows what's going on. And a few more text messages. We'll see if we can get it done. Speaking of things that are happening in football, this was a big one this weekend, Sal. Next First Tate. Malik Neighbors definitely hired the dumpster fire plane to fly over MetLife. If you didn't see this, John Mara had a plane fly over there where they basically said, please, this is 1978 all over again. Please end this dumpster fire. Malik Neighbors, it was brought to his attention, and he said, I did not pay for the plane, which is maybe the most incriminating thing he could have said.
He got it for free?
Yeah.
Wow. He didn't pay for it?
It's a favor.
I wouldn't be surprised by anything. Maybe John Mara did it himself because he likes the attention, but it is emblematic of this Giant season, really, really bad. I mean, here's the one thing, though. I know that everyone's upset, but you can't complain about ticket prices and then also pay for a plane to fly by with a message, right? It doesn't make sense in that regard. But you can't rule anyone out. It could be Neighbors. It could be Danny Dimes. It could be any WFAN host in New York for the last 30 years. So.
John Jastrzemski.
Yes,
or it could have been JJ's neighbors for all we know.
Yes, JJ's neighbors. Malik Neighbors, JJ's neighbors. I have no idea.
Somebody put in a pool of money and they paid for this plane. And hopefully John Mara can see this, because we know he's not been able to sleep ever since Saquon went to Philadelphia. But again, Malik Neighbors, I think he paid for that plane. Last one, I went to this game on Sunday in SoFi. The Bills at the Rams, Sal, was the best game of the season. Dare I say my favorite game of the season.
Really?
And maybe even my favorite game of all time.
Whoa.
But,
hold on.
Just putting it out there. Shootout.
Were there Rams fans there? Was it
a lot of Rams fans?
What's the percentage?
I would say 60-40 Rams.
60-40.
60-40.
That
and
adds up
for
to
a SoFi game, 60% is basically 100%.
That's spectacular. Yeah. I thought it was great, obviously. On the Ringer pregame show where I was 10-2, my best bet was the Rams over 2.5 touchdowns. Now I'm 11-2. It's kind of boring, that show now. I don't just wait for me to tweet out what my picks
You're
are.
top dog.
They had 6 touchdowns, Tate. And to watch, not 2.5, 6. And Josh Allen with the comeback, like if you look at his MVP odds, they have now stretched out. He's minus 450. His odds shrunk because he had such a good game in a losing effort. So excellent game. I don't know what you would pick to beat it.
Yeah, 3 rushing, 3 passing touchdowns. And the entire time, Matthew Stafford felt like he was personally affronted by all the conversation about Josh Allen winning the MVP, because he was incredible.
Jaguars-Jets is this week. That could give it some competition. But for now, the game that you attended, fine.
That's what everyone's saying. Yeah. They're saying it's their favorite game of the season. And speaking of favorite games, we can play my second favorite game now. Yeah, over-under reactions. We do this every week. Joe House's least favorite game.
I want to see 12 seeds for your favorite games. I want to see where
I'm going to put it out at one
payday ends up. And,
I'm going to do a pyramid of the games.
Please do it.
That's what we need at the Ringer. We always need pyramids to break down how we rank things, of course. But let's start here, Sal. We just mentioned Josh Allen, so I say to you, Josh Allen will win more Super Bowls than Patrick Mahomes over the remainder of their career. So not in total, but from this day moving forward.
I get it. I get it.
All right. Over-under reaction.
I think this is an underreaction. If I had to pick one, first of all, I think the line would be Mahomes minus a half a Super Bowl, minus 140 or something like
Okay.
that. So I think Allen would be the underdog here, but I just like what they have in store for the league. I feel like, no one's going to touch them in winning that division. You can make a case for the stupid Jets. The Patriots aren't there and it's close yet, or the Dolphins. So Bills are going to be your division winner. They know how to close out games. I know the Chiefs know how to close out games too, but I think they're going to get bit in the ass real quick. I don't know that you have to bleep that on this show. And so I think the next few years, it's going to be what it's like. Don't rule out Cooper Rush at plus $75 million for this little competition.
And the good news for the NFL is that they have Haley Steinfeld. So they do have their next Taylor Swift, celebrity kind of A-list personality to roll out there to make some money. Apparently Taylor Swift helped the NFL $335 million in their brand appeal is what I've been told.
How could that be?
I don't even know what that means, Sal, but they were saying that.
Thank you, Taylor. You saved our sport.
Yeah, thank you so much. Football is better for it. Speaking of trying to save the sport, the Simpsons tried to save it on Monday Night Football, Sal. So I say to you, Homer Simpson would make a better coach for the Cowboys than Mike McCarthy. Over under reaction. Which one do you want?
They kept cutting to McCarthy. I was getting confused. I thought it was Homer Simpson. I'm like, all right, enough of this cartoon garbage. I want to see that. They're like, oh no, that's Mike McCarthy. That's actually. I was thinking about the similarities. They're both a little slovenly, like I should talk. They've both been effing up on Fox for like 20, 30, 40 years.
Homer would love the Waffle House menu, right?
Exactly.
Covering his
the
face.
big menu.
That'd be great.
Yeah, he might take a bite out of it. He might take a bite out of the challenge flag too. But maybe those are improvements for what we're seeing at McCarthy. I think I just have to sit down with Mo the bartender and drown my sorrows for this Cowboys.
And we'll do it. And maybe Mike McCarthy can come join you in the bar with Mo. So that'll be a good thing. Shout out to Drew Carter, by the way. Did a great job with the Simpsons broadcast. Next up, Sal, Bill Simmons is correct in saying that the Steelers are the best team in the AFC. He said this on Sunday night. Over or under reaction? Your thoughts?
Are you texting him these crazy ideas, these notions?
Well, I text him, and I'm trying to get him fired up for Belichick.
Nothing.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But I should have texted him about Pittsburgh.
Somehow it's had a weird effect on him, and he's fired up about Pittsburgh, who he was like, I don't know about this team 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, yeah, things changed.
Let's not let the Browns game sway you into making a decision about who's the best in football or in the AFC. This is like riding your bike downhill and you're going like 35 miles an hour and you're like, oh my God, this bike is great.
I'm the fastest in the
Look
neighborhood.
Like,
yeah.
All right, try going the other way. It's not going to work. The Steelers are great, but whatever. Russell Wilson's a 2-interception game away from just, being in the second tier, and that's where they are. They're going to fight to get a second seed, and that's going to be tough if they don't.
I think everybody is trying to get ahead of the ultimate, Green Bay Packers upset, Steelers upset in the playoffs. So we're trying to do it now instead of just waiting for those takes. Yeah, don't get ahead of it. Just let it happen. Let it wash over you. Let it marinate. Next up, Sal, Bryce Young deserves to win Comeback Player of the Year. I feel like we have one of these every week. Over or under reaction?
I think it's a slight overreaction, but it would be an interesting path, right? So he sucked the first month of the season.
He was
benched. Replaced. He got benched. He went to some kind of intensive quarterback camp led by Peyton Manning or somebody, and then has to wait for the starter at the time, Andy Dalton, who probably would have gotten the rest of the year, to get in a car accident, unfortunate, and then he takes over and is like, he's okay, that's fine. If he wins, I think if he wins Comeback Player of the Year, that incentivizes players to suck for all of September.
I think there's too many comebacks in the NFL, Sal. And I think maybe next year, instead of Comeback Player of the Year, we do Comeback Player of the Week.
Sure,
and every single week we
add
get a Comeback Player of the Week, and then we add them up at the end. We do a little tally.
I like that.
And the guy with the most ends up being the Comeback Player of the Year. So maybe we can get to that point. Next up, a guy who might be on that list next year, Sal. I say the Chicago Bears are already wasting Caleb Williams' prime.
Ooh.
Over or under reaction.
Is this a knock on the Bears or Caleb Williams? I'm trying to figure out which one.
It's a knock on everybody involved.
I'm going to say slight overreaction here. His prime might have been his freshman year at Oklahoma before he even went to USC, but I could see what you're saying. Whoever wrote this is saying maybe they should have traded him right after the Hail Mary did them in.
Yeah, that was it. That was the moment. You got to just sell high is what they always say. Next up, let's talk about the Rams, who are playing some good football, Sal. I say the Rams would be the most dangerous wild card team in the NFL. We were talking about wild card teams to watch out for. Over or under reaction?
Absolutely. And they were here's a little trivia for you. Part of your favorite game of all time, at least this year, against the Buffalo Bills. Kobe Turner, Jared Verse are just all over the field defensively. Like that was supposed to be their problem, right?
Verse does not look like a rookie out there.
Lots
after
of fun.
Seeing him in person.
Lots of
great.
fun. Once in a while they do dumb things. Well, everybody does, but they've been great. And obviously, with Nakua, who could grab a ball at anywhere in the stadium, and Cooper Kupp, right? And Matthew Stafford when he's on, and you have one of the best coaches, right? We got to include him in the top 3 or 4. Sean McVay. I think this would be a tough one. You know, they still have to pass Washington, but this is not a team you would want to face. The Eagles don't want the Rams coming to them at the end of January.
Yeah, Kyron Williams, Walter Payton, at the end of the year as well. I mean, they got a really good squad, and they had this Puka Nakua little end around that they had running in that game down the weak side that, like, the Bills just, every single time they ran this play, they're like, where did this come from? I'm like, yeah, it's the exact same play.
You saw that from your shitty seats?
I just kept seeing it. Yeah, I'm like, this is the 3rd or 4th time I've seen it, Sal. Let's see if they stop it. Next up, neither Arizona State or Boise State deserve a first-round bye in the CFP. Over or under reaction? A lot of chatter about this.
Yeah, it's an underreaction. I'm not just kissing ass here. They should let FanDuel rank these teams because in their first games, these teams are going to be 6-point underdogs. And it's great that they won their conference, but why do we have to put them 3 and 4? Clemson won their conference championship.
Apparently, the ACC is behind the Big 12 and the Mountain West.
Yeah, they're not doing it, except for putting 2 ACC teams in. You have them 11 and 12. You're not exactly making up for the FSU snafu from last year. I would say this is an underreaction. They can't be 3 and 4. That's what screwed everything up. That's why Oregon got screwed. That's what we're going to talk about in a minute.
Yeah, Oregon, really tough draw there. Well, let's talk about the Heisman, which is going to be happening this Saturday, Sal. This year's Heisman reveal will be less anticipated than next week's Masked Singer finale, which everybody's waiting for that. Over or under reaction?
Who wins the Heisman, Goo or Strawberry Shortcake Mask? I don't know. I know too much about the Masked Singer already.
They had the Masked Singer, the costume, whatever, at the game. Yeah,
I know he was there. Well, because it was Colby Turner, I think, was one of them.
That's right.
That's what happened to the Rams. All right, so it's Hunter. It's Travis Hunter's going to win. The real anticipation, let me tell you something, because you know my friend Harry, and you know the Parlay Kid and Brother Bry. Brother Brian and Harry asked Harry to put in Travis Hunter to win Heisman at 20-1 through his FanDuel account. He did. He can't find the ticket right now. So that's the anticipation.
He didn't do it.
I don't know if he did it.
The dog ate my homework.
We're going to have to see. He says he has it. I think it was a mistake. He was wiping 4-day-old lasagna off his mouth, and that ended up in the trash or something.
Yeah, Ken has that ticket. That's what I would say. Someone else has that ticket, but shout out to Harry. I hope he finds it. We're sending him some good vibes. Speaking of someone that needs some good vibes, let's talk about J.J. Redick, head coach of the Lakers. I say to you, Sal, J.J. Reddit is the most accurate nickname for a head coach since the Clapper. Over or under reaction?
I say good job by you is my reaction, because I feel like you made this up, this JJ Reddit.
I don't know if I made it up, but I popularized it. This is how you have to say it, because I'm sure there's someone on Reddit who's like, I came up with JJ Reddit.
Well,
actually.
J. Kyle Mann says he came up with it, but you guys could sort that out.
We'll figure
but it's perfect because it's infuriating to him, and it's not too personal where he should get that upset. And I love a pun.
And he loves JJ. He loves Reddit. You know what I mean? He loves NBA Reddit, so it all checks out. JJ Reddit. It's a good one. Next up, Sal, Steve Cohen should buy the New York Jets. You know about Steve Cohen very well as a Mets fan. It's time he ponies up and buys the Jets. Over or under reaction?
I think this is an underreaction. At first, I was going to say no, but buy the Jets. Keep Aaron Rodgers. Move the team to the Amazon right there, right in Brazil or whatever. Let him do ayahuasca and play football and see if anyone could tell the difference.
Yeah.
I don't think they could. Yeah,
everybody would watch that. You know, it'd be some fun games. Some people would get out there and travel. That would be great. And speaking of Steve Cohen, let's talk about the Mets. Last one, the Mets will win over under 1.5 World Series during the length of Juan Soto's 15-year contract. Over under reaction. How many Super Bowls? I should say. How many over?
Super Bowls, none.
All right,
the Mets aren't going to win it. No Super
World
Bowls.
Series.
World Series, though, I think you have a better shot.
I still want Cohen to own the Jets. I mean, that's how many Super Bowls.
Soto going to play tight end for the Jets? 2 would be great. I'm going to say over. You know, I know people say 1 and then it's legit. If he is a contributing force and they win 1 in 15 years,
is
that's
1
good enough?
Is what I would say.
I think 1.5 is a really good number, and I'm going to say over. I'm going to say they get to 2. Remember, the Yankees signed A-Rod, right, for 12 years. He goes down as one of the best Yankees. Look at the stats if you don't even want to say it out loud, but he's one of the great Yankees of all time, but he only won 1 in 2009, and that was for 12 years. So that's in this 2024 baseball, that's pretty damn good. God bless Uncle Steve Cohen.
Yeah, and hopefully it's one of those things where Soto could win one early, right, in the first 3 years, and then that kind of holds you over for 6 years. Right. Then he can win another one on the back end.
When you're 41 years old.
Yeah, that's the beauty of a 15-year contract, and that's why we should be telling all of our kids to go play baseball, because those are the best contracts in sports now. And speaking of contracts and snubs, let's talk about this. The Riverboat captain, we got a prop culture question for you, Sal. What was the biggest sports snub of 2024? And we got the odds here. Juan Soto snubbing the Yankees is the favorite at 3-1. Yankees fans are very upset about this, of course. The Alabama CFP playoff, 5-1. Obviously, some very upset people down there in Tuscaloosa. We got Deion Sanders and his ex-wife at 15-1.
That was very funny.
Yeah, very funny. We got Cousin Sal's winning weekend in the Emmys at 30-1. Obviously, there's a lot of back and forth there, and we got the field at even odds. So, Sal, what say you, biggest sports snub of the year?
Listen, I like to go off the board most of the time, but it's sitting right there for me at 30-1. And I love this show. I love being on every week.
Oh, we love having you.
Probably 11 or 12 minutes too many. Talk about Bryce Young, but whatever it is. But Cousin Sal's winning weekend. I mean, we give out winners every week with the D3, except when Harry's on. Then we take a week off. We've had Tony Romo on. We've had Matthew McConaughey on. We almost had Brandy Chastain on 4 times over the summer. 4 times? She canceled. She kept canceling. She kept forgetting. I don't know what I did to her.
Next time when she finally does say no again, the 5-timers club.
The 5th time.
Yeah, right. You get her a robe or something.
She gets a free shrimp cocktail or something from the Sizzler.
So an email with 30 excuses for the next 30 hours.
Brandy might have cost us the Emmy. Who knows? But that's what I say at 31. But we're at least funnier than the Bear, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Definitely way more of a comedy than the Bear.
Ooh, thanks.
I like the odds there at 30-1.
What do you go with?
I would saddle up with you, but I'm going to take Alabama at 5-1.
No, you won't.
I will. I'm going to take them because it is one of those things where SEC, right? They run this game, and I thought that they could, even without Nick Saban. If anything, this shows how great Nick Saban was, that he was able to finesse these types of things. So Alabama, I thought they were going to 100% be in the playoffs with the narrative of it all.
You thought they should, or you thought they would?
No, I just thought that it was the narrative.
All
right. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I was shocked.
The narrative got snubbed.
Yeah,
not Alabama.
Right. Okay. Not Alabama.
I like it.
But again, it was going to happen. And shout out to the captain for the prop culture. We love that. We're going to take a quick break, Sal.
Okay.
When we come back, we're going to do some track to the future, some line look ahead. And we'll talk about Thursday Night Football.
I'll try to stick around, yeah.
Yeah, stick around. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Thru the Ringer. I'm here, Tate Frazier, joined by Cousin Sal. And Sal, we did the hard stuff. We played my second favorite game. We talked about the best game of the year.
So hard.
Oh, so tough to get through all that stuff. Yeah. But now we get to talk about something that everybody knows and loves. Of course, I'm talking about Thursday Night Football. And we got
this is hard, too.
Yeah, it's a nice showdown here. We got the Los Angeles Rams taking on the 49ers. Niners -2.5 in this one. The total at 49.5. Obviously, the Rams looking to sweep the series for the first time since 2018. They won back in Week 3. Your thoughts on this game? Both teams are trending up right now and look really good.
I like it. It had the makings of being a bad game like 3 weeks ago. You were at this game. Were you at this game? In Week 3.
Yes, I will be at this game.
No.
The first game. No.
San Francisco.
No, I was not at the Week 3 game.
No, but all right. So the Rams were down 10 points in the fourth quarter. This is one of like 3 or 4 49ers 10-point leads that they blew in the fourth quarter. And otherwise, like the Rams would have been 0-3 had they not held on, and we wouldn't have this conversation of them in the playoffs and everything. I like it. 49ers fighting for their lives. Not much wiggle room for either team. I thought it would be a little higher. I think it was 3.5, moved down to 2.5. I don't think that the 49ers injuries, well, I know it's not going to help this being a short week. So I'm leaning the Rams. Shanahan, even though Shanahan owns McVay's 10-5 against them. So I'd lean Rams on a teaser, much like I had Green Bay on a bunch of teasers last week, and they brought down to the last score.
Do you feel like the Rams have figured something out? I mean, obviously, when you get Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua back, and everyone's healthy, I mean, do you think that this is something where they are a team to watch out for? Because on Sunday, when I was actually at that game, it did have that vibe. You know what I mean? As you see the 60% of Rams fans in the building, they started talking themselves into something special. They're looking at the 2021 Super Bowl banner, and they're saying, why not us? Why can't we do it again?
Is that what they were saying?
That's what they were saying.
Where were you sitting?
They were whispering in my ears. Wow. I felt like I was in Dune Prophecy.
You can't go back there.
Yeah.
You can't go back.
It's crazy.
That's the malarkey. I think they have figured it out. They figured out they have the funniest names of receivers that you can imagine.
Right.
And, if they have to put together like 3 straight good games, and that's been their thing, right? They've got kind of tailed off after couple of wins.
Yeah, and the Rams, obviously they look good, but the Niners as well. It seems like Kyle Shanahan, there were the rumors about the Chicago Bears job and maybe him getting traded.
Yeah.
He said that would be his personal nightmare if that were to happen, basically. And then the 49ers started playing 49ers football, so that's encouraging
I like
stuff.
the idea of coaches getting traded in general.
Yeah.
Keeps them on their toes.
I think it's good for everybody.
Yeah.
It's good for the fans. Everybody
Well,
likes talking
Eberflus
about
is like,
it.
wait, you couldn't even trade me? I couldn't. No,
He's like,
It's no, you're out.
He's like, I'd take Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey. That looks like a good job. I'd take that. You do like some props in this game, Sal. What do you like in this Rams-49ers game?
Stafford, longest completion, over 35.5 yards. It seems like a lot, but he's hit the 7 of his last 8 on the road, and over that span, it's averaged 52 yards a game for a longest. And like we said, Kupp, Nakua, or Dynamite. Tutu Atwell, a guy I went with in my fantasy lineup, probably 6 weeks too long. He had 50-yarder against the 49ers, so they could do this against the Niners defense on short rest. Stafford over 35.5 longest.
Yeah, and Stafford looks 100%, you know what I mean? And there's always been the question since he got to L.A. about his arm and whether it is 100%, but right now he looks 100%. I like the 49ers to score first in this game and to win this game, plus 150, Sal. I do think they are going to win this game, obviously, and I do think they're going to score early. And the Rams have a nice little momentum coming into this game, and I think the Niners might smack them in the mouth. So
all right.
I'm going to take that at plus 150.
I like the plus number.
I've been wrong pretty much, on a regular basis throughout the year.
All
so
the time.
Rams will probably score first and probably win the game, so maybe you can fade that. But let's track to the future here, Sal. NFL regular season passing yards leader. Burrow is the favorite, heavy favorite at this point at minus 440. We got Geno Smith plus 500. Get Kirk Cousins at plus 1,600. There's a chance he might not even be playing anymore, so that would be a tough one. But who do you like here, Sal?
Yeah, so this one, as of Monday morning, it was a lot tighter. Burrow minus 150, but I guess he had a great game Monday. I don't realize it. He's 232 ahead of Geno Smith. They both have the same amount of games left. 4. I'm going to take Geno Smith, though. I think that 5-1 is good. Burrow could be a guy that they shut down if they don't have a shot, in week 18. It really could be. We saw what the Cowboys did to him defensively. It didn't register a ton of sacks, but they were in on it every play. I feel like that offensive line is falling behind a little bit. Meanwhile, Seattle's going to have to play every game. Packers, Vikings, Bears, and Rams. Packers and Vikings bottom 8 pass defense. He went for 363 against the Rams. Geno Smith did. So I like the plus money with Geno Smith and Jigba heating up. I think he's a top 4 wide receiver right now. I like 5-1 there.
I like 5-1 as well, and I think you make a great point about Joe Burrow. It does feel like this season, just from the start, has been off the rails. Like anything that could go wrong seems like it is going wrong, despite the fact that he is playing some really good football.
He's getting robbed. Even when he's playing well,
right.
he's losing money because people are getting into his house. It's not fair.
Yeah, and that's a real story. So if you haven't seen that, I mean, Joe Burrow just getting hit from all sides here.
What people think I make things up here? I would never.
No, that's a real thing. That does happen. Let's track to the future. And let's look at the number 1 pick in the 2025 NFL draft. There has been really kind of a chatter that has subsided as we've gotten through the season. At the start of the year, everyone's like, who is it? Is it Carson Beck? Is it Cam Ward? Is it Shedeur Sanders? Right now, Sanders is the heavy favorite, but there's someone else you like on the board.
Playoffs are just, taking over, right? But,
it's good for college football.
Cam Ward plus 750. I feel like the teams like the Giants and John Mara might not be up for the Dion nonsense and might pass on Shedeur. You look at Cam Ward 750. I don't know if he's the answer either as a pro, but his mechanics are good, more in sync with what a pro quarterback would look like. He's got a good fling to his arm. He's more comfortable in the pocket than Shedeur Sanders is. The only thing I would say is he's a warm weather quarterback. You kind of have to look at that now. I think Tua has taught us a lesson, right? That maybe you need a cold weather quarterback in the cold weather divisions, but plus 750 is still good.
Yeah, plus 750 is nice. And like you said, if you're a team that has a dome or you're a team that, doesn't have to play in Green Bay or, whatever it is, then maybe you find a way to take Cam Ward. It does feel like Shedeur Sanders, though, has won people over with kind of his pocket presence, and everyone says he makes the right throw, he makes the right read, he knows what he's supposed to do, and all that sort of moxie quarterback talk seems like it's trending in the right direction for him. So Shedeur Sanders, the favorite right now. Travis Hunter, his teammate, also will be in that conversation. They will not be in the CFP conversation. Let's talk about this. Let's track to the future. Best bet to make the CFP semifinal, Sal. Who do you like here?
I'm biased here because, I'm going to go Oregon. I'm paying tuition there.
Yeah,
so
you're writing checks there.
Writing checks. So this is the thanks Oregon gets for going undefeated. They have to play potentially Ohio State. and then potentially Georgia, and then potentially Texas. And those are the 3 odds-on favorites aside from Oregon. So that doesn't make sense. This is all because of the Boise, Arizona State thing that we talked about. But I do like them to make it to the semis. They only have to win the 1 game. So if it's against Tennessee, they're probably minus 200. If they're against Ohio State, will probably be about 140 or right in there. So I still think minus 138 is decent value. I think they're now, with this ranking system, they're playing with a chip, perhaps even a Chip Kelly on their shoulders.
Yeah, Chip Kelly, who will be at Ohio State calling the plays for them. But like you said, I mean, Oregon got the worst draw of the teams that got the 4 byes. Had to play either Tennessee or Ohio State, which is going to be a tough draw. And then from there, like you said, a Clemson, a Texas, whatever it may be. I'm going to take Notre Dame here to make the semifinals. They're going to play at home against Indiana, even though Indiana, the strength of record is great for them, and everyone's talked about, including their coach Signetti, that they should be ranked higher. Right. I think it's a tough draw for Indiana to go into South Bend to play Notre Dame and to win that game. Then you get it matched up with Georgia. They don't have Carson Beck. Right. So I just think it's a really good draw for Notre Dame, and you can get them at a plus number at plus 178.
Can I just say, I like the pick fine. The way you navigate on your phone between the bracket and the stopwatch, it's just it's spectacular. I wish people at home could see it.
I hope you're seeing this. I hope you're watching this. This is we used to have a TV monitor with the clock, but now, everything's on the phone,
man.
Sal.
What are you going to do?
Things change quickly. Let's do a live look ahead. Let's talk about the NBA, Sal. I know you love the NBA Cup. You just can't stop talking about it every time.
Just tell me what day it is.
Every time I see you,
3 weeks?
You're asking me about the NBA Cup.
This week.
Yeah, it's this week. It's Wednesday night. It's tonight if you're watching the show. Hawks at Knicks. -7 Knicks in this game. Total 237. Who do you like here, Sal?
I love the way that MLB thinks they could steal the NBA's thunder with the Soto announcement and college football with the bracket. No, nice try. All eyes are on this NBA Cup, and they're on the Knicks, and I'm going to take the Knicks. 7-3 against the spread in the last 10. Atlanta, an unimpressive 10-15 record against the spread. I'm going to take them -7. Tibbs is going to throw a lot at this 28th ranked Hawks defense. I feel like this seems like something Tibbs is going to want to win more than any other team. They're second odds-wise favored against after Oklahoma. So I don't go and say I'm going to go Knicks -7.
I like the Knicks pick there. I would take the Knicks as well. I just think they're going to win this game. And I'm going to go a step farther here. I think that they are actually going to win the NBA Cup. I do think what the Pacers did last year, obviously they didn't get the deed done. The Lakers ended up winning. But I think the Knicks are going to do that. They're going to get the Karl Anthony Towns good publicity. He's playing some really good basketball right now. He's even chirping at the crowd. He looks like a totally different guy. Like the New York mentality he's got in his head.
Let's do it. +310. I like
it. +310? You like the Knicks?
Yeah. Well, it's better than -275. Whatever you're doing for this game.
I was just saying they're going to win the game. Okay. You know what I mean? But I didn't know the points with the variance of the 3-point shot. I'm scared of points in the NBA now, so I'm just like, who at the end of the day is going to win the game? I don't like the odds at -275, but I like the odds to win.
Great way to watch the NBA. I'm just afraid of points.
I'm afraid of points.
All right,
stop it, Adam Silver. Let's track to the future. Let's talk baseball. Juan Soto over under 34.5 home runs. I know you're excited to talk about Juan Soto all year long. So what do you say? Over or under?
I said we have to put it in every segment, anytime, and you better bring it up with Nora also. Over. I think he's going to have 35 by the All-Star break. What do you think of that, Tate? No, maybe not that many, but I'm looking at you as a Yankee fan. Mikey Meatballs on the other side of the glass sneering at me, stewing in the control room. But he had 35 2 years ago. Not Mikey Meatballs, Soto. 41 with the Yankees last year. Now, people go crazy with, it's the short porch. He had 20 on the road, 21 at home. I feel like he's going to do just fine at Citi Field. He'll have about 38, 39. I'm going over.
I'm going to go over as well. I think he's going to stay healthy. I think he's going to win early with the Mets. I think it's maybe not next year, but maybe the year after that where they go and try to win a World Series, at least get to the World Series. So I'm going to go over. I think it starts next season. And Sal, last thing before we let you go, Tate debate, in case you missed it, on First Take. And no, that's not First Tate. There's a show called First Take.
There is?
Yes.
Did they steal that from you?
Yeah, I think they did.
Oh, man.
It goes back to JJ Reddit. Everything keeps getting taken from me, Sal. But I say to you, we have reached the apex mountain for college basketball and college sports in general. Commitment videos. AJ DeBanza went on the show. Started with Red Bull, 2 guys jumping out of an airplane with hats. It cuts back to the First Take studio with AJ DeBanza there with Stephen A. Smith. He makes his commitment by putting on the hat. They don't even cut back to the guys jumping out of the airplane.
Right.
We're not even sure if they're okay or not. But Red Bull was involved. Nike was involved. Yep. BYU has a billionaire, investing in their whole athletic department, and is also the owner of the Jazz, so they're involved. So I don't think we're going to get any bigger than this in college sports.
Well, I mean, first of all, it could be the player jumping out of the plane.
That's what I was hoping
tear
for.
his ACL, and that'll be the end of these dumb announcements. Or just tweet us what you're going to do from now on. But I disagree. I wasn't around in the mid-'50s, but I read up on this. Jerry West, before he decided to go to West Virginia, he had a reveal too. And lava lamps were very popular. And he took a lava lamp and he threw it at the wall and yelled, when everyone's like, oh, what, Texas A&M? What is it going to be? Rutgers? Cornell? West Virginia. And that was it. And back then in the 50s and 60s, everybody would throw lava lamps against it was a mess of all kinds.
Everybody
so that was
remembers,
the golden age of
right.
reveals.
And Rick Mount did the same thing, of course.
Yes, of course.
Everybody used to do that. I do think it's funny. DeBanza tried to put the hat on Sal when he made his commitment to BYU, and he couldn't figure out how to put a hat on, which begs the question why basketball players and football players are putting hats on. They don't wear hats. Feels very baseball coded, but we are a baseball society, I guess.
Good luck, AJ and Meadow and Carmella and all the rest of the surprise.
Yeah, everybody. It's a great show. Go check it out. Tate Debate. I think we reached the apex mountain. Sal, where can we find all your amazing work?
Thru the Ringer. Just go and rewind this and watch it again.
Yeah, go back.
Against all odds, couple of podcasts a week on the Ringer Podcast Network. I have the Ringer pregame show on Sunday mornings and Cousin Sal's winning weekend. Dean Blandino, I have a lot of questions to ask Dean. This week.
He has a lot of things he needs to answer for
Friday,
all the fans
FanDuel
out there,
TV.
right? All the NFL refs. Shout out to Dean Blandino. Shout out to Cousin Sal's winning weekend, and shout out to you, Cousin Sal, for being on the show. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got Nora Princiotti joining us. We'll see you on the other side of the break. Welcome back to Thru the Ringer. We are in Los Angeles, and joining us now from New York, the Ringer HQ, we got Nora Princiotti. Nora, good to see you.
Good to see you too, Tate.
It's, look, we've come a long way here on Thru the Ringer. We've been both in rooms randomly at our homes, and now we've moved up to the studio. So look at us here at Thru the Ringer. Before we get into some of the big picture AFC storylines, I want to start here. Bill Belichick, there are rumors circulating that he may be coaching college football, potentially at my alma mater. You have covered Bill Belichick. I just want to get your big picture thoughts on Bill Belichick coaching college football. How believable from a scale of 1 to 10 is this story to you?
I mean, believable in the sense that it seems like it's real. It seems like it's happening. 100. I think Bill Belichick, it seems like from everything I've read, he's going to be the next coach of UNC. What's interesting to me about it is I think there's been this discourse since he was on the coaching market about like how much control over a program Bill Belichick wanted or was going to insist on, whether that was NFL or somewhere else. And I do think that we're learning that he wanted a lot of control.
Yes, all
some
of the
ideas
control.
about, oh, no, personnel, it's okay. I just want my clipboard on the sideline. Like Bill Belichick wanted to be in charge, and he's going to go do that at UNC, and I'm interested to see what happens.
Yeah, me too. And I think he saw what Coach Prime was doing at Colorado, and he said to himself, I like the control that's happening there. Maybe I can do my version of that at North Carolina, and I'm sure the North Carolina people are going to be very excited to welcome Bill Belichick with open arms. What a world that we live in right now. Let's talk about a guy who once played at North Carolina, Drake May. There are a lot of eyeballs on Drake May. I just saw the other day that Rodney Harrison, who at the start of the season said he did not believe in Drake May, he should not have been the number 3 pick. He has now turned course. He's gone a full 180. Now he loves Drake May. Where does he sit right now as far as the Patriots fandom and just the kind of where the Patriots at large view Drake May, and what can he do over the next 4 weeks?
I mean, as far as where he sits with the fandom, it's not, Tom Brady Patriots dynasty all-timer, right? He hasn't earned that. But I think in terms of what Patriots fans are happy about this season, Drake May is sort of number 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, 5. What does he need to do for the rest of the season? Very little. Just keep it up. I mean, I think the one thing you would talk about would be limiting the turnovers, right? He's thrown 8 interceptions. It's the most of any rookie, and he's lost 4 fumbles. So trying to be a little bit cleaner protecting the football, I think that would be the number 1 objective. But in general, he is the bright spot on this team. He is the thing that makes Patriots fans excited about the future.
And you got at the Cardinals, at the Bills, Chargers, and Bills again to wrap up the year. So he does have a stage to garner even more excitement as we head into the offseason. So Patriots fans obviously excited about what they got with Drake May. They're not going to be looking for a quarterback in the draft. They'll be looking for an offensive lineman. Let's talk about the New York Jets because they are trying to figure out if they have their quarterback of the future. Aaron Rodgers, obviously a really good game against Miami, first 300-yard passing game since December 2021. Want to give him all the kudos, but where do we sit right now with the Jets? This is kind of like...
Tate, we're not doing this. We're not doing this with the Jets. It's not happening.
Can he find a path? Is there a path, or is it over?
No, there is no path. The road is closed.
Okay.
It is Midtown Manhattan traffic at 4:55 p.m. They gave it 2 years. He got hurt the first year. It's been an absolute disaster this year. He played a good game. He played an absolutely good game, and we commend him for that. They cannot do it anymore. Everybody's already gotten fired. The Jets need to reset, and you cannot reset with Aaron Rodgers.
Let's talk about the AFC North. We got a battle going on between Pittsburgh and the Ravens. This feels like a tried and true tradition in the NFL. How much are you buying stock in Pittsburgh? Are we still in love with the Ravens? I know you and I both like Baltimore a lot. Where do you stand right now at the AFC North?
Yeah, I think this is the toughest division battle remaining in the league this season. Now, obviously the Steelers have a 2-game lead on the Ravens, but with the degree of difficulty of their schedule and the fact that Baltimore, they've not been a consistent team, but their remaining schedule, it's 23rd by degree of difficulty. They've got the Giants, the Steelers, the Texans, and the Browns. I do think that if we're looking at divisions where the team that's not in pole position could maybe make it up, this is where I would look. And that Steelers-Ravens game 2 weeks from now should be really, really exciting. Yeah,
I'm very excited to see where they both sit at that point in the season. Obviously, Baltimore is trying to get over the hump once they get to the playoffs. Pittsburgh has been one of those teams where they were written off earlier in the year, and now it feels like even our boss, Bill Simmons, is saying that they're the favorite in the AFC. Should we view them as a team that can actually go to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl, or are we getting a little bit ahead of ourselves with the Steelers?
Can they go to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl? Absolutely.
Anything is possible, right?
Do I think, I still lean toward the Ravens being the team that has the higher ceiling. Although, again, consistency is the word, right? Like the Steelers have been such a consistent team. I would pick the Chiefs. I would pick the Bills before I got to Pittsburgh in the AFC. But are they part of the cream of the crop? Definitely.
And let's talk about the actual cream of the crop, the top of the crop. The Chiefs, they figure out how to win these games no matter what. They doink in to win the division. And right now the question is, did they secure the 1 seed Sunday night? 4 games left in the season. 3 out of the 4 are on the road, at the Browns, at the Steelers, at the Broncos. They get the Texans at home. Where do we kind of view the Chiefs right now? Obviously, they're winning games in a very strange, almost magical way, but they are winning the games, Nora, and it does look like they're going to get that 1 seed. How important is that 1 seed for the Chiefs?
I think it's really important just because we know how difficult of an environment Arrowhead, especially in the playoffs, is to come into, whether that is for a team like the Steelers, for a team like the Bills, it's just going to up that degree of difficulty on whoever Kansas City's opponent ends up being. But I do think we've seen gradually over the last couple of weeks, Patrick Mahomes start to find a few more answers in the passing game. And I think if you're any of the Chiefs opponents in the AFC, this is what you're scared of. Is that they were gettable in the middle of October and November, and nobody came for the head. And then now they have the time to figure it out. And by the time you get to the playoffs, maybe it's come together. Maybe they get Pacheco back and healthier and full back at full speed, and things start to look a little bit more like the Chiefs that we've been taught to fear.
Yeah, and they currently have a 2-game lead over Buffalo and Pittsburgh. They also will be playing at Pittsburgh on Christmas Day, so Santa Claus is bringing us some good football. Yeah, that'll be fun. Let's talk about Buffalo because Josh Allen, I was at that game on Sunday, Nora, and it is ridiculous to see in person, this guy. I mean, it looks like he's going to get sacked. He is just a master at what he's doing there with Matthew Stafford on the other side. Just a complete QB shootout, 6 touchdowns, 3 rushing, 3 passing. Did Josh Allen win the MVP on Sunday? Is it officially over, or is there still time for maybe a Lamar, maybe Mahomes, maybe something could happen at the end of the season?
There's a month left in the year. Is there still time? Yeah, I think there's still time. Is the window closing? Absolutely.
Quickly.
And I think we've graduated from this place of like, okay, yeah, it's probably Josh Allen. Josh Allen seems to be the front runner, but hey, look at what Saquon's done. And hey, some of these other quarterbacks are making a splash too. To a place where this is Josh Allen's award unless somebody goes and makes a real case for themselves.
Yeah, and Saquon is probably the one that has the best chance just because of the rushing record. If he does set that record, then you're going to have some of the old record heads in the NFL coming out saying he has to be the MVP because he did break this record, depending on how many games he does it. But Josh Allen, I saw it in person. He looks like the MVP. I'm going to give him the MVP acknowledgement right now. I'm going to crown him, Nora. I'm going to do it early. Let's give him the MVP.
Crowned.
I'm going to crown him.
It's the type of performance that makes it hard to make the argument for someone like a running back.
And I saw Lamar earlier this season, too. So I saw them both in person. Josh Allen.
Some good quarterbacks this year, Tate.
That's what I do,
You're
Nora.
looking out.
I just go out here and see the quarterbacks in person, get an eye, see what's going on. Josh Allen, anointed. He is the MVP of the league. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back with Nora, we're going to talk some NFC storylines. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back to Thru the Ringer. We're here with Nora Princiotti, and we just made sense of the AFC, and now we turn the page to the NFC. And Nora, I want to start with some tea and some drama because Philadelphia, there is a lot happening right now. Brandon Graham, if you're not familiar, one of their better defensive players, has a podcast, and he went out and talked about some of the relationships between quarterback, wide receiver, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown. Says 1 and 11 might not necessarily be on the same page. Later, he came out and said, sorry for saying that. I probably shouldn't have said that. It was pretty brutally honest, it seemed, Nora. Your thoughts on kind of the circus happening right now at Philadelphia, because despite this, they're still winning football games.
Well, I love a guy on his pod, on his radio show, coming out and telling his teammates to keep the drama in-house. There's something very ironic about that and really funny. So good for Brandon Graham on that front. Look, where this stemmed from, I believe, is that after they survived that nail-biter against the Panthers, A.J. Brown was asked sort of what the issues with the offense are, and he just said passing.
Yes, simple,
right,
one
which
word.
Seemed like a shot at Jalen Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
And, whether that signals some frustration or some issues in that relationship, I don't know. It doesn't seem great, but sometimes tempers run hot and teams have a way of getting over this stuff. The central point is not incorrect, right? Like, this Eagles team has been primarily pretty successful this season, and they absolutely have a formula, which is that Vic Fangio has done wonders with that defense, and they're playing well. And then on the offensive side of the ball, when they win with the ground game and Saquon and that number one rushing attack in the league. The passing offense has taken a step back from last season, even if you factor in that disastrous finish to the year. I still think overall they're in a better place than they were this time last year. I think going into the playoffs, they're a stronger team. I think they're a team that can win in more ways and also just doesn't have that sense of this is a calamity and everything's falling apart that they did down the stretch last year. But on an objective level, the passing offense is worse than it was this time last year. And that is something that could obviously come back and bite them in the postseason.
Let's talk about the NFC South. It's pretty much the opposite there. The Buccaneers have taken over first in the division. They're at 7-6. You got the Falcons at 6-7. Some people are saying maybe Michael Penix is on the line. He may get called up. The Saints are now at 5-8. The Panthers have some life, even though obviously, less than 1% chance to make the playoffs, but still some life, Nora. Not to get too excited about what they're doing there in the NFC South. But how do you feel about the Bucs? Like, what team are you looking at in the NFC South as we move forward?
Yeah, I don't know that I call this division so up for grabs. I mean, the Falcons, obviously, mathematically, they've got a good shot. If they go to Penix, that could be interesting. They could make a run and get back in it. I would be interested to see what that looks like. Of course, we really have no idea. If they don't make that move, and if things keep going the way that they've been in Atlanta, where Kirk Cousins has 8 turnovers and 0 touchdowns in the last 4 games, all of which are losses, I don't really think this is so up for grabs. I think the Bucs have this division. The Falcons do own the tiebreaker with Tampa Bay, which could help them if they were able to make it a little bit tighter, but they have a quarterback who looks just immobile. And as long as that's the case, I don't really see them being able to unseat the Bucs.
Yeah, Bucs on a 3-game win streak. The Falcons are on a 4-game losing streak. For the social media kind of sleuths out there, Nora, Michael Penix has not posted this entire season while he's been with the Falcons. He just posted today. and the sleuths are saying that
Oh.
is a signal that he is going to be the starting quarterback. So that is where the optimism. I have a lot of Falcons fans in my life, and they are all very excited about Michael Penix Jr., and they are talking themselves into winning the division. And it's nice to have a common sense answer like you right there to let them know that that would be a pretty wild turn of events. But we'll see what happens. Let's talk about the NFC West, because there are a lot of good teams in the NFC West. Obviously, the Seahawks are in first right now. They beat Arizona 30-18 on Sunday. The Rams look like the 2021 Rams on Sunday. Saw them in person. And the 49ers look like the team that we saw last year. So what are our thoughts on the NFC West, and which team do you like out of those kind of big three as the Cardinals are trending down?
Yeah, well, I mean, the Rams showed us in that Bills game that when they really put things together, when everything with Stafford and McVay, when that clicks, the ceiling for that team is really high. And so I don't want to count them out there. But if I had to pick a team in this division that I think things are coming together for down the stretch, it's the Seahawks. Between how well Geno's playing, I think Mike McDonald's defense has really hit its stride. I think he's figured out schematically what he wants to do with that group. They just have a number of ways to win. And, Los Angeles, I think they can be a super fun team. If they get into the playoffs, I wouldn't discount them to make a run, because we've seen when this team just needs to win 3 games in a row, you never want to count those guys out. The thing that worries me about them is defensively, they have to get pressure up front with their defensive line if they're going to be successful. They really don't have the coverage on the back end to succeed if they're not getting pretty quick pressure. And I worry about, against a better opponent, against a good offensive line, what happens when you take that away from them? The answer being they got to win a lot of games 44-42, and they're capable of it, but it's a tougher road. So ultimately, I choose Seattle. I think Arizona and the 49ers, it might be slipping away a little bit. So it really might come down to that Seahawks-Rams game in Week 18 in LA.
And that's going to be a great game. And Matthew Stafford looks fully in form right now. And let's talk about his old team. We got the Lions, and let's wrap up with the Lions. They got Sunday. They got the Bills coming to town. 8th toughest schedule down the stretch. They got Buffalo at home. Then they're at the Bears, at the 49ers, and then the Vikings game to wrap up the year, which could be for the division. How do we feel about the Lions and how it kind of looks and plays out for them down these final 4 games?
I mean, great.
Yeah. It's good to be Detroit.
It's all coming together. And the thing that I love about them is that they still play such a fearless style of football. I think we see a lot of teams, when it all starts to come together, they're scared to lose. And I don't think you ever have to worry about that with Dan Campbell. They've got a tough stretch. Vikings are still a challenger. That matchup's going to be really interesting. But that game against the Bills is going to teach us a lot. And if I were Detroit, I would just feel really good right now.
Yeah, and it might be a Super Bowl preview on Sunday between Buffalo and the Detroit Lions. So if you're someone that likes to prognosticate and figure out what the future looks like.
Couldn't be us.
Yeah, it couldn't be us. But you can go watch that game and get an idea of maybe what the Super Bowl would look like. Nora, we appreciate you making sense of the NFL at large. And where can we find all your amazing work? And then we'll let you go enjoy the rest of your day.
TheRinger.com. Fabulous new website, by the way.
Oh, yeah, looking good.
And then the Every Single Album and Ringer NFL Show podcast feeds.
There you have it. Nora, you're the best. Thanks so much for coming on the show, and we'll see you back in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, Tate.
There you have it for another edition of Thru the Ringer. Thanks to Cousin Sal, as always, for coming on the show, and thanks to Nora for joining us on the show, making sense of what's happening in the NFL. We appreciate you tuning in, and we will see you next week here on Thru the Ringer.